Purdue, Houston, Sweet 16, Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis, Indiana, 67 miles from campus for the Boilermakers. A lot further for Houston. That's a big deal here. Could be a home crowd for the Purdue Boilermakers here. Card, how excited are you for this matchup?
How excited am I?
Yeah, where does this grade on the exciting scale for you?
I'm excited because of this. I think this is going to be a fun game for people to approach this like, oh, these are the teams that, little old Purdue can't handle, right? Like they're the guards on the defense of Houston is just going to eat Fletcher and Braden up, and all that stuff's going to happen. Like those guys aren't really good players. Like Braden Smith isn't a first team All-American in his own right. It's an exciting matchup. You have a team in Houston who will be traveling to play in the state of Indiana against what, 5 seed Purdue? 4 seed Purdue? Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're 4 seed. Yeah.
4 seed, yeah. This game's in Indy.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna have the home court advantage in this one. It's a lot of it's an intriguing matchup. I think this is a byproduct of a very chalky first couple games here. We get really good matchups in games like this.
Yes, it's one of the more exciting matchups for me because Houston's awesome. They've been the number one team in the country over I forget what it was. I had a Torvik sort from the last couple of months. Let me make sure I have this right just so I'm not bullshitting numbers. They've basically been on par with Duke for the better part of the entire season. Back since December 1st, Houston has been the best team in the country. Number one defense, number eight offense. They're 28-1 in that span. I like to drop this gem a lot when we talk about Houston. They
I
have
already know
not
this is the best. I love this one. I love this one. Is this the regulation one?
they haven't lost a game in regulation since the first week of the season.
Who was that against, G?
That was against Auburn,
Oh, okay.
the team that was number one in the sport the whole year. So there's a world. They lost in overtime to Bama, overtime to San Diego State, overtime to Texas Tech. Two of those three teams are still playing in the Sweet 16, by the way. There's a world here where the close game luck flips Houston's way, and instead we are viewing this team as a historically special undefeated season.
Yeah.
But instead, they're not Duke, they're not Auburn. They're just like a gettable one seed. They're not, right? They're pretty dominant. Like you have to play a crazy upset game if you're a 4 seed to beat this Houston team, I think.
Yeah, I mean, shit. You and I are the biggest BYU fans in this country, and BYU's been playing like a top 10 team, and Houston made them look like one of the worst teams in the country not a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Houston team is just they're the best defense in the sport, and now on top of that, they are they're getting some offensive production from like Cryer and Uzan has really stepped up in that regards as well. It's just it's I don't want to understate it, but like this Houston team is a monster, man. They hold the nation's longest win streak currently at 15. Uh, they dominated the Big 12. They're all of the what you see when you look at this team. They're 32-4. That's all season. They're 32-4 on the season.
Yeah. In that span, the 15-game win streak, they have wins over the 13th best team, Arizona, 11th best team, Iowa State, 8th best team, Texas Tech, 25th best team, Kansas, two wins against the 30th best team, Baylor, 24th best team, BYU, 13th best team, Arizona again, and 9th best team, Gonzaga.
They got rewarded as a 1 seed in the second round with a top 10 Ken Palm team. And that game got randomly close, but that was on their own doing. They kind of handled that one the way they should.
They have 8 wins against the top 30 since February. Just none of them all that close, right? They've just kind of comfortably stumbled their way through this season. So if you're Purdue, obviously you got respect for Houston, but also this is one of those things to quote Dan Hurley, we're gonna come with some honor, right? We're gonna if we're gonna get got, you're gonna have to take it from us. We're not gonna give it to you. We're the champs. We're the team that made the title run last year. We're in our home state. There's going to be an element of that to this, right? Purdue's not. There's not a world where Purdue just rolls over in this spot, is there?
No, no, I don't think so. I think that they had the run last year. I trust Braden Smith, even though the turnover issues have been pretty prevalent. I trust Paint in this spot as well. Um, they have played big games this year, right? They beat Bama at home they beat Bama at home earlier in the year. They have had their fair share of big wins as well. They've also had some bad losses. So I still overall trust Purdue in this spot. I don't think they'll be overwhelmed necessarily.
Yeah, I do too. I think they're going to show up and it's going to make it really
It's
interesting.
also like this. It should not be overlooked that this game is in Indy too.
Not at all.
Like what is it? What would this constitute as? Mackey somewhat south,
Mackey Central.
Mackey
Yeah,
Central.
Mackey Central. I did check ticket prices. Do you want an update there?
Massive.
I, actually, no. Just you
Really?
wouldn't know because I didn't incessantly tweet about them.
Oh,
So
got you.
yeah. Only $200 to go see this game. Crazy. $700 to get in the door in Atlanta this weekend. But hey,
Crazy.
who's counting? Um, I'm sorry, man. I couldn't help myself. So what's the pretend that I'm who do I want to be? I want to be Cam Heidi. Pretend that I'm Cam Heidi and I'm sitting in that little tank top and I'm in the second row because he's a second row guy for sure. And you're Matt Painter conducting a film session here. What is the number one priority, biggest thing that you're telling me we need to do to beat this Houston team?
And you personally for yourself, Cam Heidi,
For the whole room, but I'm
for the
Cam
whole
Heidi.
room.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, unless you think like Cam Heidi doing something is the biggest thing, then it can be
No,
directed at
I was
Cam.
gonna say I was gonna ask Cam to lead the film session.
That's crazy, man.
It is crazy, but because I do think like his rebounding is what they'll need in this game. Because I think Houston's front court is very physical and dominant, and you need someone to match that. And Heidi has shown this year that he can be really good on the glass. But I do think to beat this Houston team, as good as they are, I do think that they can go through offensive stuff, right? Like they can struggle to get to 70 points sometimes. And it's because their defense is so good and they're so efficient and they play extremely slow that, they kill you, right? They make you work on the defensive end and they slowly get a good shot. And then if they miss that shot, they get it back, right? It's a tough offense to play against. But it's not like deadly. So I think that if you are Purdue, you need to get some easy shots because I don't want this Houston defense setting up in the half court. I think like a game plan with a lot of Braden pushing the pace and maybe like a Fletcher Lawyer trail three or anybody 3-pointers will be a lot in this game. Um, and also with all due respect, I would avoid the whole like feed TKR thing in this game. Like I know you got to because he's one of your best players, but this defensively, this front court for Houston is something.
It is. So elaborate on that because I saw one of those Purdue reporters that actually goes to the practices and covers his team every single day and does such a good job was saying that TKR is the key to this game and it could be a legacy game for him. Certainly could happen. I think if you are the reason Purdue beats Houston and you're TKR, that would absolutely be a legacy game because just profile wise, they are monstrous inside. This is the fifth best 2 point percentage defense. Uh, and honestly, maybe we should listen to our Houston scout from people that go to the practices and see Houston every single day rather than people that just try to push some narratives because anyone trying to paint the Houston front court is not beastly and an opportunity for TK would be incorrect, I think, right?
Yeah, they're at a disadvantage in the front court. Like TKR is not going to be able to do what he does typically against this front court. Like he's not going to be shut down because TKR is good. But like if your path to getting a win here is TKR legacy game, then I think Purdue loses by 20. Now on the flip side of that, you got yourself a really good backcourt in Braden and Fletcher Lawyer. And I like Houston's guards. I like Houston's backcourt. I think Purdue has a chance to be the better guards and the better backcourt in that basketball game. And that's what's really I think is going to be key in this one because they are going to have to be productive. They are going to have to hit shots and hit threes because you're looking at the games that they have lost. It's games that are making you're playing games in the 80s, right? You're scoring. You need to score against this team. I think you need to hit a lot of shots. Texas Tech beat them earlier in the year. Texas Tech, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. Bama, a team that shoots a lot of threes. I would have to actually go back and look at that game that they won, and see how Bama did from three in that game. Let me see what they did. I mean, Alabama was 37%, 11 for 30 in that game from three-point range. Um, and also, I think you need to, at the same time, while hitting threes, I think there needs to be a emphasis on getting to the free throw line because you can use Houston's physicality against them. And if you do that, you need to make free throws, which on the other hand of that, you want to know who doesn't make free throws, who you want to have a legacy game? Mr. Wren.
So this is where I would just push back on you. I actually do see the vision of Purdue needing a big TKR night here to win this game. Um, Now I wouldn't frame it the way that was framed elsewhere of like,
You need him to have a big night. The L word is what gets me.
yeah, I guess I would just say that I think it may be the easier path to victory for
Hmm.
TKR. Now I'm not sitting here saying it's likely. I'm not doing like you'll see a legacy game. I'm saying this. I think the most vulnerable thing about Houston is that they foul a ton. That's it. Like they're so good defensively everywhere that I just think there's a world here. Houston's bigs are 6'8". They do not have a player on the roster bigger than TKR. How many times this year has TKR been the biggest player in a front court? Has that ever happened, Cart?
No.
No. So, not saying it's going to be an advantage, but I do think TKR's footwork could come into play here if he can get a quick foul on Juwan Roberts. If he can get JoJo Tugler, you can get two fouls on both those guys in the first 10 minutes of a game, and
Mm.
all of a sudden the entire game completely shifts. So, you and I both are not huge fans of when teams come into a game saying we need to get them in foul trouble. But I'll be completely point blank with you. If I was Matt Painter, that would be at the top of my list.
Yeah.
You've got these athletes who are
Fletch.
super handsy.
Looking at you, Fletch. It's time.
Let's get some of these Houston front court players in foul trouble and see where we go. You mentioned the backcourt. This was a debate I had with Jay Hart. Shout out to Jay Hart who helps us with social stuff in the Sleepers Discord. He said he would take Purdue's front court. He thinks they have the better, or excuse me, not front court, backcourt. He thinks Purdue has the better backcourt in this game. Think when we say better backcourt, we are really just looking at Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer versus Milos Uzan and LJ Cryer. I would add you should probably look at CJ Cox and Emmanuel Sharp too.
Hmm.
But if you look at the three-man groups, it's
Doesn't doesn't
clearly Houston.
doesn't change the answer.
You think it's still Houston looking at 2-2, Smith and Lawyer versus Cryer and Uzan.
Yes.
There's a lot of Purdue people who will disagree with that because we agree Braden Smith's the best player out of that group, right?
Hmm.
It's just a big drop off to Fletch.
Yeah. And Fletch is good. Don't get me wrong, but Cryer Uzan is to me, especially with the way Uzan's been playing as of late. Like he's really stepped up this past month. It's what's really honestly made Houston look more dangerous in my eyes. He's gotten comfortable.
Yeah, Uzan over the last I think 16 games is averaging 14 and a half points, 4 assists, over 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, shooting 50% from the floor, 50% from three. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's been.
been one of the more efficient guards in the entire country.
They also get him back next year too.
Yeah, crazy, crazy. And then Cryer's just this like super high volume 43% from three guy. He's honestly not all that different from what Lawyer ends up being, but he just has more juice to him, you know?
Yeah, and he's a champ.
And a champ, that's true.
Champ. So
Was he a
yeah,
champ?
yeah, he was on that Baylor team that won the
Oh
championship.
my God, he was. He was a freshman on that Baylor team.
Dog, LJ Crier's career record is probably like 107 and 11.
Does LJ Cryer have more wins than Purdue's players are going to have?
Yes, I think so.
28, 27, so that's 55. 23, 78. Houston last year was 32. That's 110. This year they have 32 wins. That's 130, no, 142 wins.
And
And counting.
he's probably got what, 20 losses?
It's insane. Dude's an all-time winner for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of winners on this court.
A lot of winners.
A lot of winners on this court. If you're Houston,
Two great coaches.
is the scout for them basically just play our game?
Yeah. Play our game and also check that temperature. Let's check that gangster from the start.
Are you more worried about Braden or TKR if you are Kelvin Sampson?
If I'm Kelvin Sampson, Braden, because I think Braden makes a lot of that go. Um, but also on the Purdue side, and it feels weird to say this, given the way Braden has played lately, I am more worried about Braden than I am about TKR.
Really?
Braden has just been turning the ball over so much and not really shooting the ball as well as he has.
Yeah,
And
true.
the fix for that is not Houston.
True.
Like what how we do like per 40s?
Yep.
How much is 8 turnovers worth against a Houston defense?
A lot.
That's just not ideal.
Right. I want to point this out too because it's just a really great matchup between two programs that have done a lot right in the last couple of years. Some of the things that like are intangible things that are usually a huge advantage for Purdue, Houston is even stronger at, and I want to just call them out quickly. Experience. The D1 experience is what Ken Palm calls it, just the total number of years the players on your team have played. Houston is the 39th most experienced team in college basketball. Purdue's down at 185th. There are still a lot of young players on this. So, like, this is going to feel like a veteran team for Houston that is more vetty than the Braden Smith TKR lawyer group, which sounds a little crazy. And then, maybe more importantly, continuity is something Purdue loves to preach about how they're so special and singular in that. They're 41st in minutes continuity. Houston is 8th in the country. Like from last year to this year, this is like all the same guys from a team that won 30 games into a team that won 30 games. All this team has done is dominate the Big 12, be awesome. Last year, they were well on their way to a Final Four if Jamal Shed doesn't pop his knee in the middle of a game. And
Yeah.
I think
And
this is as
they're
much
thinking about that too. They got that on the mind. They're
they
playing
want
like a
their get
team. They're
back.
playing like a team that wants to get there. Like they feel like they were robbed of something last season.
Right. And they're old, they're experienced, they've done it together. There's not much to nitpick here other than go make a bunch of shots.
Yeah. There is one thing though that maybe you should feel good about.
What's that?
The one thing that Purdue does defensively the worst is not something that Houston does necessarily well.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to forget about it. I can't believe I was going to forget about it. Houston's offense is not great at finishing inside. And as good as Jawan Roberts can be, they don't really have a guy they just throw the ball to and have him go to work.
Yeah.
272nd in 2-point percentage offense is Houston. Now, they are the number one 3-point shooting team in the sport, though.
Yeah. But isn't their volume? What's the volume on that though?
Low.
Low volume, but they are the number one team. That is true. And also 11th, and they get it back. They might miss it from two, but they will get it back.
Yeah. Um, just want to make this point before we get too much further in the tournament. And I want to go back and look at this just to make sure. Yeah, okay. Uh, this is a Kelvin Sampson defense that's paired with the number one 3-point shooting team in the country. And nobody views them as the title favorite. You have finger up?
They're my title game.
They're in your game,
Yeah.
but you're not picking them to win.
No.
But just I want to make that extremely clear. This is a Kelvin Sampson defense
Yes.
with the best shooting team in the country on
Yes.
offense, and no one wants to talk about them as the favorite.
Yeah. They also don't turn the ball over. They are the number one defense and the number 10 offense.
But like that was crazy to me when I was previewing this game. Like I didn't realize they're the best shooting team in the sport. No, it doesn't feel like that. No one talks about this team like they
Because the
are that.
it's because the volume is low. I will say that, and also like people.
Really? It's not that low.
How sorry, what was it at?
They shoot 35% of their shots from three. Like that's not massive. I mean, in terms of actual like rankings, it's 296th in the sport, but like
Yeah, that's
that's
not fair.
that's
Yeah,
3% less of their shots from three than Purdue shoots. Like
I mean, it's because they got guys that are snipers too. Like, and the thing is, like, Emmanuel Sharp had like an injury earlier in the year. He's now like kind of back, and like that guy can light you up for like five threes, and then Cryer can hit threes, and now Uzan's hitting threes. It's it's tough to beat. And also when they miss those, they get them back.
Cryer is shooting 43% from three on 257 attempts this year. Uzan is shooting 44% from three on 126 attempts this year. Emmanuel Sharp is shooting 42% from three on 182 attempts this year. That's three guys that play all the minutes in the backcourt that have combined for 560 attempts and all shoot 43%. Like,
Yeah, it's nasty.
it's and no one's talking about him this way. And I get why, because Duke's incredible and Florida's fun when they're not down to Dan Hurley for 36 minutes. But like, beside the point, this team might be the best team in the sport, and no one is talking about them that way, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, aren't they? Oh, they're number two on KenPom. So
Number one since December 1st.
yeah, they're
Better than
nasty.
Duke since December 1st. It's crazy. Matt Painter, Kelvin Sampson. Is there an advantage there?
I had two really good coaches.
Two of the very best in the sport. It's a stalemate.
Yeah,
I agree in the micro for this game. Nobody has an advantage. I do just want to say this in the macro, and I've repeated it a bunch. Kelvin Sampson is the most due coach in the country in terms of March stuff. And the
hmm
last coach who was the most due coach in the country was Matt Painter, who finally got to a national championship game.
yeah.
Like
It's
at
it's
some point, Sampson is going to get through.
right, right, and not to say that Purdue is a pushover matchup, but they got slighted a little bit having to play a top 10 team on KenPom in the second round. Meanwhile, Purdue has some things break their way. They get two double-digit seeds to get their way to Houston. Now it's a major step up here.
It
This
is.
is not McNeese. This is not High Point.
Is there a world where Braden Smith is just the best player on the floor and takes this game over from start to finish?
Yep,
Who is the best player on the court in this game?
Braden Smith.
Who's the second best player in this game? Don't lie.
TKR.
I think it's TKR. And
Yeah,
then I think Houston has the next five.
yeah. So that's the thing. The world where Braden takes over and is incredible in this game, they don't win.
Why?
Houston is the better basketball team.
I disagree with that. I think if you get an A plus Braden game, Purdue wins.
You can get
But
an A plus game, they cover.
you need an A plus game from Braden. You need an A game from TKR, and you need some role guys to do
When's
something.
the last time they both did that?
Ooh, it's a good question. We're not counting any of the games in this run. I mean, you can't. Braden had 8 turnovers against McNeese. That's not A. He was 4 for 15 against High Point. That's not an A. USC, he struggled with his shot.
It's been a while.
Rutgers, probably Rutgers, but TKR only had 16 and 8. But probably Rutgers.
So Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Just wondering.
Yeah, Rutgers. Okay, final thing for me on the preview side of this. If Purdue loses, let's just hypothetically throw a number out. Purdue loses this game by 20. Was this season a success?
Yes.
Elaborate.
I think there's some success in. losing National Player of the Year and making a Sweet 16.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe fans look at it through a different lens.
Yeah, okay. So,
I'm looking at that through a Purdue fan lens. If I was a Michigan State fan, I think that season would be ass.
yeah.
Not ass. Sorry, not ass. Ass is too far. Not successful. Not what you wanted. You have no banners. You didn't really even challenge for a banner in either setting, Big Ten tournament and regular season. And you bowed out in the tournament after playing a team that's not a double digit seed. That's honestly, if we hold Purdue to the national standard that we hold them to, that is not a good year. But also they lost Jacobson, they lost Edie. Like I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So, in the preseason media poll, Purdue was the consensus first place pick. They were picked to win this league. They got 20 first place votes out of 32. Braden Smith was picked as the preseason player of the year. They were picked as the best team with the best player. Braden lived up to that. The team did not. If you really get out of this season finishing fifth in the Big Ten when you were picked to win it, losing in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament, Sweet 16s are great. Beat McNeese and High Point. And I get there. I know everyone's excited that they proved the upset pickers wrong. I picked an upset. I look stupid. I'll own that. A lot of people picked upsets because this team has not lived up to expectation this year and isn't playing its best ball at the right time. So again, this is all preventative. You could beat Houston and flip the script, but I want people to realize I think that's what's at stake here. From my perspective, this is an opportunity for Purdue. You win this game, all of a sudden the season's a huge success. You just went out and beat one of the very best teams in the country. You're about to play for another Final Four.
That's
That's huge. But if
that's
you lose this game and end the season with a lot of questions for next year on what's coming back, with no banner, and it's a sizable loss.
Yeah,
Say
I'll
it's
say
20
depending on how they go out too.
that would be hard for me to define as a success.
Yeah,
Unless this team is not the championship contending program that I think they are.
yeah. No, it's fair. It's fair.
So there's a lot of stake.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. All right. Predictions. Ken Palm has Houston by 7. What do you got?
I'm gonna take Houston to win in this game and cover. I just think this is no disrespect to Purdue. I think Houston's one of the best teams in the sport. Metrics say that. My eyes tell me that. I think they just overmatched Purdue in this one. So I'll go Houston by 15 plus.
I think Purdue keeps it close. I think their championship intangible stuff and the crowd is going to help them do that. I expect Braden and TKR to be up for the challenge and be great. I expect the role players to disappear, honestly, against the physicality of Houston. I'll take Houston to win by 6. And more importantly, I like the under.
Like the under
I think this is like a 60 to 54 game,
6. Oh, but they cover.
like gross basketball,
Ew.
but they cover.
Okay.
We'll have a recap. Thanks for watching.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.